Starting off with the West, where I had probably a bottom 3 prediction for myself. You yelled at me this entire podcast as soon as I said it too. I said Patrick Mahomes is gonna end up as first or second place in MVP voting, and he throws for a grand total of 5,000 yards. As we know, Patrick Mahomes did not. 3,587 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. This one was hopeful, I guess is probably the best way to say it. It's a lot of hoping that he would step up in a team that didn't have a lot of surrounding talent and he would kind of carry them and will them into a really tough division with the Chargers and the Broncos fighting for a playoff spot. Obviously, that one happened. I just kind of hope that he would will himself there and he would kind of shoot for that MVP once again. And it kind of just goes right into your prediction, which Kansas City misses the playoffs and questions start to pop up surrounding Patrick Mahomes. One of those things is 100% absolutely true. Now, do you think he played poor enough for questions to actually start surrounding his play and what's going on with him moving forward?
You know what? I think honestly, this is a dude that is as talented as we think he is. But if you go back to 2018, he throws for 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, right? We think he's the heir apparent. But 2023, 4,100 yards, 2024, 3,900 yards, 2025, 3,500 yards. 2023, 27 touchdowns. The year after that, 26 touchdowns. The year after that, 22 touchdowns. And also has been consistent 14 interceptions, 11 interceptions, 11 interceptions. His rating has gone down. Now, I'm not a QB rating guy. Let's not get crazy out there, y'all. But in 2022, he's 105. Then he went to 92. Then he went to 93. Then he went to 89. Completion rating has fallen. Every statistic, meaningful statistic, including games played, has fallen since 2022. Yep. The fall off has been, for a guy that won a Super Bowl during this midst of things, they trade away Tyreek Hill and they sign Chris Jones. They win another Super Bowl. I don't remember who they beat, but I think 24 out of the NFL teams right now, if they had the option to take Patrick Mahomes next year, would take him. I think the Bills are cool with their situation, and obviously a couple other teams out there are good with their situation. But anyone would take Patrick Mahomes. But it's just he's 5,000 yards, 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That was 2022. That was a long time ago. So I don't think questions have popped up. It's not like they're talking about, hey, we need to move off of him or find a different quarterback. But the ability to just Superman his team to the Super Bowl, I think has, we're talking about a guy that's coming into probably his 10th NFL season. Well, I don't think he didn't play at all his first. So let's just say 9th full-time NFL season. They got to get this dude some help. Like the corpse of Travis Kelce, that's not getting it done. Whatever running back they've been trotting out after years. I mean, I like Pacheco, but he's not a Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? They need to get Mahomes some help for sure.
Yeah, and I think the difference is he's just gone from the bona fide one to, he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. Like that's the difference. And when we say the fall off, that is the fall off from 1 to always top 10. And obviously 1 typically kind of varies year after year. Josh Allen kind of feel like firmly holds that crown for the last 2 years, no matter what is going on in the playoffs, the teams, or yada yada. 2 years in a row, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league, and the game has stepped up for him, while Patrick's has fallen down. But that doesn't mean he's not a top 10 quarterback in this league for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone is, because once you fall out of the top 10, you're talking about that's when the conversation starts. You start talking about Brock Purdy's and Baker Mayfield's and shit, where Patrick Mahomes is not in that conversation.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they got to get this dude some help. He is no longer Superman. They got to get him some help.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to one of those playoff teams that we just talked about, the Chargers. This is another one that we were kind of on the same page about. Very close, same coin, different sides a little bit. I said that the Chargers would reach the AFC Championship game, but they fall a game short of a Super Bowl berth. Didn't quite happen that way. Chargers were defeated by the team that would earn the Super Bowl berth, the New England Patriots, in a wild card game. Thriller, 16-3. They didn't reach it. I don't think that's a disappointing year at all for the Chargers. I don't think that is for the Chargers. I do think a lot of people are starting to question Justin Herbert and the playoff performances, and there's a lot of questions surrounding that. Not if he's a starter in this league, not if he's the Chargers starter, or if he's a good quarterback or anything of the likes. That's not in the case. It's just playoff performances are hard to come by so far for Justin Herbert. Is it any different than someone looking at the Cowboys and looking at Dak and playoff performances? He's had good performances. He's had poor performances, but he's still the starter for their respective teams. You said, though, that Terry McLaurin would be traded to the Chargers and they would win the AFC Championship game, earning a Super Bowl berth. Again, didn't quite happen that way. Terry's still on the team. He's still hanging out, having a not so grand time. Where do you see the Chargers next year, though?
The Chargers ended the year with three straight losses. They dropped a close game to Houston. They lost to Denver. Side note to that is Bo Nix breaking his ankle really, really ruined a Super Bowl
play.
Like, oh my gosh, like that Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl, we got screwed. We ultimately got very screwed. But and it sucks because coming out of week 15, I think it was, they just absolutely demolished the Dallas Cowboys, something like 34-14 or something, and they looked like they were ready to go. And then they just ran into three good defenses and again saw a little bit of their issues. Obviously, offensive coordinator, they're going a different direction. Ladd McConkey seems to be a superstar in the making, but they just
a lot of injuries on that line too, though. I mean, it seemed like every offensive lineman they had got injured. A bunch of their starters, all pro caliber players, one after another, was feel like it was dropping.
Yeah, that's true. And honestly, you got Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, and you hear these names and you kind of plug them in your mind as like, wow, they should have been better than they were. But they did have the offensive line issues I'd forgotten about. Obviously, a really good rookie running back who should take a big step in year two. So, but the Broncos very, very clearly are not going away. I don't think you can ever. I mean, obviously, I predicted to Chiefs to miss the playoffs this year and was right, but I'm not going to go to the bank with that year after year. Like the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, so they're always going to be in the running for something. So I don't really know what the Chargers. I feel like as long as you and me have been adult football fans, I've been predicting the Chargers to do something, and they just haven't. So it's frustrating for sure, but I think Herbert's getting to the point where he might, you got to figure it out for him. You got to get him a little more talent, or a different direction has to happen.
Yep. And this is only year 2 of Harbaugh's tenure with LA. So it's only going to get better from here. I mean, this division is very competitive. The Chiefs, like you said, are probably going to be again competitive next year. Hey, don't forget about the Raiders coming up here pretty soon. But I can't even take the Raiders serious. Let's move on to one of the teams we do take very serious, and that is the Broncos, where I predicted
that they're gonna trade that first pick, bro. They're gonna really into a Raiders thing and trade that first pick.
I have a buddy who's 100% convinced that Lamar Jackson's going to be a Raider next year. 100% convinced that Lamar Jackson's a Raider next year. I'm like, oh yeah, no, sure, whatever. He's like, oh, you're gonna see, dude. Here's Lamar Jackson's gonna be a Raiders fan. I'm like, didn't you think there was gonna be another last episode of Stranger Things, and that didn't happen either? And he's like, all right, bro. Relax.
Dude, I don't even know how the Raiders would it would have to be your picks. It would have to be Max Crosby. It would have to be Ashton Jeanty. Like it would have to be a lot to try to get Lamar. Like I don't, unless Baltimore's new coach has just decided that Lamar ain't the answer. But yeah,
you're not trading the farm. That's That's everything in the farm. That's the lease to the farm. That's everything attached to the farm. You're trading everything for Lamar if you're gonna even get close to getting him. So, but let's go in and move to the Broncos though, where I predicted soft prediction. Courtland Sutton was going to have 1,250 yards and 6 touchdowns. Caught 74 passes for 1,017 yards. Played full 17 games too. 7 touchdowns though, so half my prediction was correct. So I guess I can take half a pat on the back for that one. But unfortunately, didn't hit it. Didn't have a poor year. Still very clearly the Broncos' best wide receiver. I thought Marvin Mims would step up or be a bigger part in the offense. Did not. Talk about being a bigger part of the offense though, where you said, and I was maybe not this high, but I was very high on Evan Engram, where you said Evan Engram is tied to number 2. Engram landed at 25th in yards, 18th in receptions, just right outside the top 50 in tight ends with only 1 touchdown. He was on the team in targets though. He got targeted. He was getting set up, just didn't quite capitalize on it. And I was with you on this one. I was telling people draft Evan Engram in fantasy leagues. I was doing it too, but it didn't happen that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, third on the team in targets, third on the team in receptions, third on the team in yards. But I think ultimately what this comes down to is, I mean, it was just a dominating season by the Broncos. And what's crazy is they put up a lot of points, but it was on the back of their defense. There really wasn't a ton of I don't know. Weird season for them. Obviously, the Bo Nix injury sucks, but again, I do like to bring things up to take jabs at you, but they dropped 44 on the Cowboys, and then a week later they beat the Raiders 10-7. So it's just a strange season. Obviously, I expected more out of the Sean Payton offense, and you know what? It's that preseason hype where they had him lined up at wide receiver, and I'm just like, oh. Here we go. It's Evan Engram time. But, who, even you had Marvin Mims, right? I don't think we had Troy Vincent on our, we should have been more tied into a Broncos training camp. Clearly we dropped the ball there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Moving on to the last team in this division though, where I said finally a prediction I can get right is Geno Smith was going to lead the league in interceptions with 15 plus. And that was the actual reality of the situation. Geno threw a league leading 17 interceptions this past season. And then it's going to be very soon either cut or a backup quarterback to Mr. Fernando Mendoza, who we were just talking about before we started the podcast.
Lamar.
What a weird turnaround for Geno, right? From flipping off that fan that was holding that sign where it said, they're calling back and flipping off, and everyone was kind of hyped about it, to the amount of memes I've seen dedicated to Geno Smith Instagram pages where it's just hating on Geno Smith directly is insane. So the difference between week 1 to week 17 is huge.
Bro, it just goes back to coaching and organizations though. I'm not going to sit here and argue that Sam Darnold is a million times better than Geno Smith. I'm not going to argue that. Right. If you flip them, I mean, we saw Geno Smith on the Seahawks, right? But not with Mike McDonald. It comes down to coaching, and obviously the Raiders organization, front office, coaching staff, training staff. The only thing nice about the Raiders is their stadium, and their fans don't even go to that stadium. It's the opposing team's fans that go to that stadium. So
whoever's in Vegas for the weekend.
And a bunch of WWE fans. So it's just and shout out to WrestleMania, 100,000 people up in that joint. I don't know. Geno Smith's been who he is for a really long time. And when you surround him with a team that doesn't have high-level coaches and doesn't have a high-level organization, this is what you get.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about a guy who 100% will be on the team next year, but did have a little bit of a down rookie year, at least from prediction-wise. Ashton Jeanty, you predicted, would have 2,000 total yards in his rookie campaign. He had a little over 1,300 scrimmage yards, 975 on the ground. there was only, two people who had 2,000 scrimmage yards this year: Jonathan Taylor and James Cook. Oh, excuse me. Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook just barely missed out, less than 100 yards missing on that 2,000 scrimmage yards. Got my notes all jumbled. But yeah, just didn't quite get there. Can't really blame that 100% on him. He had a better, I feel like, middle of the season. That beginning of the season was super rough, and that offensive line, and you can't throw the ball. If you can't throw the ball, there's going to be no run game. You got to set it up. It's just going to be rough, right?
I mean, I could pull up my text messages to you and your dad right now, and me bitching week after week about the way they deploy. Like, he's not hanging in there to pass block, and so they just had him running out of the backfield and sitting in the flat, like doing absolutely nothing. And I'm just like, this is the offense. Like you ruined, gosh darn it, the wide receiver. How am I blanking? Devontae. You ruined Devontae Adams. You ran him out of town. Brock Bowers. Does anyone remember Brock Bowers' rookie year? Like, this guy was the heir apparent. This guy was going to be the greatest tight end of all time, and then he did absolutely nothing last year, right?
Right. Yeah.
The fantasy owners all over know about Brock Bowers season 2. And then for him to get honestly 1,300 yards and a boatload of touchdowns out of this season, I think it was his success for him. But they got a real head coach down there now. They got a real offensive mastermind, and so I'm really excited to see what happens with Mr. Jeanty this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we're going to have an entire Building a Contender series where we're going to be able to talk about free agent signings and who they're going to draft. And the Raiders are part of that. We're taking 10 teams, trying to build them into some sort of contending team for next year. It's going to be all prediction based, obviously. It's a fun part about the offseason. Raiders are definitely part of that list because obviously number 1 pick in the draft, you're a part of the list. So it'll be interesting to see how this team kind of shakes out when we take a look at them.